Welcome to Business Class, a podcast for people wanting to upgrade their thinking, upgrade their learning, and upgrade their life. I'm your host, Eugenia Panterhos, founder of Business Class Collective, best-selling author and life coach. If you're an entrepreneur, a startup, or someone who dreams of reaching their full potential, then you're in the right place. You'll feel empowered and inspired to design the life you've always wanted. Let's do this. Hello and welcome back to Business Class. I'm so thrilled to have you here today, and I'm more thrilled to have my guest, Geordie Ritchie, who's a wonderful young man and entrepreneur, and I'm looking forward to sharing his story with you. So let's get started.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Geordie, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am a kinesiologist and I work at Flourish Kinesiology. I have two gorgeous dogs who I adore, and my time outside of kinesiology is spent at the ocean. That's my happy place, being with the dolphins in the ocean.
That sounds blissful. So, besides the love of the ocean and the dogs,
Yes.
What inspires you each day?
What inspires me each day? Working with people and making connections. I truly believe that we're here on earth to love, and I am so fortunate to have so many amazing people in my life. And the great thing about my work is that it's always expanding and changing. So I get such great breakthroughs when I learn something new, and it can come from anywhere. It can come from a client, it can come from a training, or it can come from some self-discovery. And I'm always wanting to better myself and learn more about how to be more present and live a more fulfilling life. So, yeah, that's that. If that sums it up, I think that sums it up.
That sums it up perfectly. What inspired you to start your business?
Well, I was very fortunate to fall into what I do. I had an appointment with Kaylee, who I now work with, and it was last minute, and it was just an amazing experience. And I got off the table and I just said, "Oh my God, is it even possible to learn this?" And she happened to be running her training the very next day. And it was just at a time where I was really trying to work out what the next step in life was. And so the universe delivered it to me. I didn't even know it would be possible to work in this area. And yeah, I'm really fortunate to now be working with Kaylee in the business of Flourish.
That's wonderful, Geordie. I love the way that you were open enough to ask the question and the universe delivered the answer. Often when we're ready, the answer appears. So you were ready for this journey.
Yeah. And it was just as simple as being inquisitive, because if I hadn't asked the question, then that appointment I would have just walked out and I would be doing something different. So, yeah, it's always good to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what happens is, if you had just gone to that appointment, it would have been a transaction.
Instead of an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you specialise in anything in kinesiology?
Yeah, I tend to work mostly with kids with behavioural issues and learning difficulties. And at the moment I'm doing something new called InfoVision. And this is basically helping, it can also be for adults, kids and adults, to expand their consciousness. And the tool is using a blindfold, and then I will help the client get into a deeper state of relaxation, so that when I give them colours or shapes or modes of transport, whatever it may be, that they can use their consciousness to pick up on what is in their environment, which helps with kids to build their confidence, because a lot of the time with learning, we're so taught to learn how to follow the rules and just learn, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, someone just told me to do this, I just have to do the right thing because it's what someone's told me to do. And this this way of learning gives you an opportunity to be in tune with yourself and learn how you need to learn how it is to feel your own intuition and feel what's right for you, because we can do so much learning from ourselves.
That's so true, Geordie. Intuition is an important part of my life. It was something that, as a young person, I pushed away because I didn't understand it. And as an older person, when I was in my 30s, I thought, I really have to go with this. It's part of me and I've got to embrace it. So I think allowing children and adults to taper into their intuition and trust themselves is vitally important.
Yeah. And because I find that with kids, a lot of the time they can get the answer right. They're there, they know the answer. It's just that they're looking for confirmation outside. And if they were able to just tune into themselves more and just trust, because even if they get the answer wrong, in inverted commas, that's just an opportunity to learn. We learn far more from failure than we do from success.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh. So talk to me about energy and manifestation. That's something that you enjoy and...
Yes, I love.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Dispenza definitely elevated my manifestation work, and he talks a lot about how we need to create the energy. We need to embody the feeling it would be to be that certain person or to have that certain thing. And so I focus a lot on my state of being, because that's when I've seen the greatest results. The more I try to force something to happen and I do what, again, I think is right and follow the rules, and okay, someone tells me that this is how we start a business and blah, 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 the less I get out of it. The more I'm aligned with my passion and what feels right for me, the more I'm getting that rewarded from the universe. And so my job daily is to ensure that I'm tuned in and I'm aligned with my true self, that I'm working with my passion and working with what feels right, because then the universe will just bring about amazing gifts.
That's so true, Geordie. You need to be open to receiving those gifts, and aligning yourself is one of those crucial steps, because when you're aligned, everything is possible. Your passion meets purpose.
Yes. And the money follows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the less I focus on outcomes and how things should be,
yes,
then the more opportunities come to me in my life. And if I'm actually just doing what I love, then all these wonderful things come into my world. And I think it's so unusual because, again, in childhood and school, we're really taught to just follow the rules and do what we're told. And so it can almost seem like, oh, can it be this good? Can it be this easy? Can I just do what I love? And the universe will just bring about, that financial abundance and all the wonderful things that we need to live a fulfilling life. And it doesn't have to be hard.
That's so true, Geordie. So can you share a story of a transformation that has stood out for you, like for one of your clients or someone that you know?
Yeah. Well, one that's coming to mind is I had an older lady come to see me, and in the session what came about was a lot of trauma to do with her mum and her father about not letting her speak up as a child. And she then met a man who she's, clearly in love with. He also, though, will speak over her. And it was quite interesting because in the session, he came and sat in on the session and spoke for her through the session. And then she came back it was just after a session, and she came back a couple of weeks later. And it was like I was seeing this new person. She was so expressive. She told her husband to wait in the waiting area, and she was telling me how she was telling her daughters how she felt. She said, I didn't even, it wasn't even what she really wanted to work on. And I think that's when I see, when I get inspired, when I just get to see someone in a way that I didn't even think was possible. this woman has spent the last 60 years being quiet and staying in the corner, and finally she was telling people how she felt. And it sounds so simple, and it's so profound. It obviously made such a big difference to her life, and I've had lots of sessions where we've had great physical outcomes, where people have come with back pain, and sure, they walk out and they're walking again, and that's awesome. It's just those smaller pieces where someone is actually able to express themselves and let their true self come through. That's when I get giddy. I love that.
Oh, what a wonderful story. So it sounds like this woman was able to have some light shined upon her, and she became visible and had a voice.
Yeah.
And probably set some very clear boundaries on what that now looked like.
Yeah, and telling people that she matters, that she actually, her opinion matters, and she isn't going to just be the person in the background that everyone just relies on. And she, that obviously changed her life. And she's a lot older, so, it might seem like, oh, okay, well, what big changes is she going to make? But she will, because she's going to run with that.
She will. There's a ripple effect to that.
Yeah.
So, and she's taught people now how to treat her.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
New boundaries, new opportunities.
That's right.
And how do you stay motivated, Geordie? Do you have any tips and tricks for our audience?
Oh, any tips and tricks? Well, meditation is a daily practice, and that really helps me to keep aligned. I love to use oracle cards. Oracle cards give me a really good reflection as to what's going on for me and what I need to work on. And it's also just about being in tune with myself. When things don't feel right, I actually need to stop and reflect and then feel, okay, what it is that I need to do now. Because if I'm going with what feels right to me, to my soul, my body, my spirit, then I'm going to have amazing outcomes, rather than just doing what I think I should be doing. And I had a great breakthrough recently where I was getting some physical symptoms. I was getting a rash, and I went and saw my acupuncturist, and she asked me some questions, and she said, well, how come you're having cold showers? And I said, oh, okay, because, I was reading online that was meant to be good for me and blah, blah, blah. I didn't enjoy having cold showers. And not that cold showers are bad, but she was telling me that all that cold was, stopping my yang energy from flowing. And so just that simple thing of me doing something because I thought it was the right thing to do, instead of just being tuned in with my body, had a profound change. And the rash has changed, it's almost gone away, and it's just so beautiful because it was so simple. It didn't have to be hard, and I think that's when that passion comes through and that motivation comes through, is when I'm just more aligned and tuned in.
Yeah, that's really powerful, Geordie, because often we can make a decision, and because we've made that decision, we become stuck in the mud.
Yes.
And not open to change or pivoting, and that can be across all areas of our life. But a simple decision, the power's with you. Yeah,
exactly. And being the master of your life, choosing what's right for you, and that's when you don't even need to motivate yourself, don't need to make anything happen. It just happens naturally.
Fantastic. So I'm certain you've had some highs and some challenges. Can you share one of your greatest challenges that you faced when you started your business?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest challenge was establishing clients. And the biggest learning there was I had to learn again about my own state of being. And I go and see this healer, and she always says to me, when a client cancels or rebooks, the first thing you do is say thank you, because that's an opportunity for you to do something different or work on yourself, do whatever it is that you need to be doing at that time. And yeah, in the beginning, if clients cancelled, I'd get so down on myself and upset, and that would obviously trickle into, going into bad habits and indulging in things that don't help me. And then, the clients wouldn't come in even more. So I had, in the beginning, started to do some blog articles, and I got a few influencers to write about me and blah, blah, blah. I did all those sort of marketing things that, are the right things to do. And that was a great experience. It's just that I noticed that clients will flood in as soon as I'm aligned. As soon as I'm being true to myself and my energy's right, the universe will just start bringing in clients. So the big lesson for me was working on myself and self-love.
Yeah. So that's so important. A client cancelling is just a client cancelling because they can't come along.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that they don't like you, don't want to be with you, but your ego can get caught up in that and your self-worth is then questioned, and then that starts that negative thinking that can affect abundance. It can actually prevent abundance because suddenly you've got that shift in energy.
Yeah.
And it's so good that you've had the awareness and you've had someone in your life express this to you to say thank you, because it's a redirection.
Yes, that's right.
Mm.
And if I go into the negative space, I'm giving power to the lack and going, I want more clients, I don't have enough clients, what's going on, and feeling a victim to the experience instead of being the master and go, okay, great, what is the universe trying to teach me here? And taking the opportunity there.
Fantastic. Wonderful. What have been some of your most memorable highs?
My most memorable highs are probably when I've had great breakthrough with clients, obviously, and also trying new things. So, for example, this InfoVision that I'm doing at the moment, and I've just started doing a meditation group. And even though they're the biggest challenges, because I'm obviously having to adapt and work out how I incorporate something new into my world, it's just where I get such amazing insight and learning. And a client said to me the other day, fear is just false evidence appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big aha moment for me, because there's so many times where I want to be doing something. I get this sort of sense of, I feel like that might be a fun thing to do. And ego can get involved and think, well, how are you going to do it? Are you good enough? Blah, blah, blah. Instead of just doing it. And as soon as I do it, all that's in between me thinking about doing it and doing it is that fear, that false evidence that appears real. And yeah, that's when I have great highlights, is when I just break through that fear, because I, say for example, have this meditation group and I have this whole new space that I've created for people, and I get great feedback. And yeah, I think that's, I get highlights throughout my week when I get that feedback from people that what I'm doing is right. And that's always when I'm coming from a place of passion.
It's wonderful, Geordie. Absolutely wonderful. And it shows, I want to say, it actually shows and shines through. So is there a particular book that helped your thinking? I know that you mentioned Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
For our listeners, they may not know who Joe is. So,
yes. Yeah, Joe Dispenza, he wrote Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and my favourite one is Becoming Supernatural. So he just has a really great way of sort of combining science and the mystical, and teaching people how to manifest. And he talks a lot in there about how to embody the feeling that you want to create, and how our bodies can be running the show. And so, we're so used to getting in a car, going, doing this, going, buying that, and we're doing all these things on autopilot without even being aware of it. And by repeating these patterns of behavior can then keep us quite stuck. So his meditation really helps us to bring the mind out of the body. So in the sense of taking a leap out of what is familiar and normal, and then having the opportunity to create something new. The other book that I really loved was The 4 Agreements, and that just really shows how everything is a dream, and we really have the power to be able to create the reality that we want. And sure, there is reality. There is the fact that I'm sitting here with you right now, and my perspective is everything. If I'm sitting here thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not doing a good job here in this podcast, then that's my reality. And so just being able to have that awareness gives you the power to then change it and create the reality that you want.
Yep, so true, Geordie. So true. We can manifest anything with our minds and our thoughts, and we create our realities with those thoughts.
Yeah.
So having a toolkit and having inspiration from others helps us navigate those muddy waters when...
Yes, when you're getting a great lesson from the universe and it seems really challenging. However, you can just use those tools to change your perspective and be more of the observer rather than feeling a victim of it.
Exactly. So good. When did you realise that you had experienced success, and what does success mean for you?
I think success is about relationships and connection. And I think the biggest success is when I have heard that someone has been referring people to me that I don't even know, or if someone has said, oh my God, my dad said that the session that you had was amazing. Just getting that feedback that what I'm doing is making a difference to people's life. And going back to community, I think that's a success because people are clearly loving what I'm doing and what we're doing at Flourish. And when we have a room full of people at training or a room full of people at the meditation group, that is just so joyful for me because people are coming together to share knowledge and to share ideas and talk about things that they love and we love. And that's the space that I want to be in. That's what I want to be doing. So that's success.
Well, you're glowing talking about it. So, so you've embodied it, I believe.
Yeah.
How do you celebrate your wins? What do you do when something's great and you just think, oh, yeah, wow. What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I'm quite aware of how to talk to myself. And what I mean by that is I use a lot of positive affirmations in my work. And so when I have a breakthrough and I'm celebrating, I now, probably in the last year, really let myself enjoy that. And I don't need to sort of go out and, have a drink and celebrate. I can actually have that with myself now. And I will definitely share it with people. And that's probably when I really celebrate now that I think of it. I will go and see a friend, call someone, and just share that excitement. And sometimes I'll just be in my car screaming.
I love
it. And I love running as well. So that's sometimes when I'm, just sharing gratitude with myself. And that's something that is a daily practice for me, is gratitude. So that's when I can also acknowledge that I'm allowed to celebrate the gifts that I have in my life.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Geordie. Absolutely wonderful. What's the best piece of advice that you've received?
The best piece of advice I've received. What's coming to mind is recently when I saw my healer, is she said we have to trust 100%. Simple as that. And it sounds simple. It is a daily practice. And I have to keep learning that for myself. And it almost seems as if there's times in my life where I'm being taught the same lesson. I'm just learning it or listening to it on a different level. So I think that's the best piece of advice that I've gotten from someone, and I just keep getting that reflection in my life, especially at the moment, letting go and surrendering and trusting, because everything always works out. It's just our mind that creates all of these illusions that we won't have enough money, or we don't have enough clients, or someone thinks that we're not doing a good enough job. And when we can actually remove ourselves from that thinking and be more present and just enjoy this experience, that was the biggest learning for myself, that actually the universe is taking us on this ride and we get to just enjoy it. And if we choose to believe that it needs to be hard, then sure, we can stay in that. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. So I said to myself the other day, I said, it's just incredible. I don't know how I got in this seat, but I'm going to allow myself to enjoy it. And that's what I'm doing more of, is just allowing myself to enjoy this experience.
So powerful, Geordie. What a wonderful outlook and perspective. So run us through a typical day.
Well, my day changes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A typical day would be waking up, doing some meditation. I might play a bit of guitar and do some journaling, and then go for a run, do some exercise. And then I go into work, see clients, and then the end of the day is spent being with friends or family. And the big lesson for me is to enjoy the unknown of my day, because my day can change, clients can reschedule, or something can happen where I might be needed to be somewhere else. And I think my left brain, that logic brain, likes to know that, yes, we've got this tomorrow and we've got this in the week and we're seeing this many clients and blah, 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 blah. And recently I've just been learning how fortunate I am that I actually have a real variety in my day. Some days I'm sitting here with you and having this podcast, or I'm spending the morning in nature, or I'm having a full day of clients. And I'm allowed to go with the flow and enjoy that, because I was putting rules on myself that, my day needed to look a certain way. So, yeah, every day I wake up and I'll just go, okay, this is the day, and what opportunities do I have for me in this day?
Geordie, we're going to do 22 questions. So this is what I do on my podcast to let people know more about my guests and to make it a little bit more personal, and it's something different. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Good. What makes you smile?
Connection.
How did you start your day?
Meditation.
Favourite cuisine?
Asian.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Canada.
Do you text or call?
Call.
Do you play an instrument? And if so, what do you play?
Guitar.
What movie would you recommend?
Iron Man.
Do you have a favourite song or artist?
Wicked Game by Chris Isaac.
What's your favourite city and why?
Adelaide, because we can be at the beach, in nature, in the hills, or in the city very quickly.
White wine, red wine, or champagne?
Red wine.
What's your secret pleasure?
Chocolate.
What's your biggest strength?
Being open.
If you were a hashtag, what would it be?
Hashtag Jordana.
Do you have an exercise routine, and what is it?
I have to exercise every day, and then I just see how I feel depending on the day.
Gold or silver?
Gold.
If you could catch up with anyone, who would it be?
Oprah Winfrey.
What's your favourite meal? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, or all of the above?
All of the above.
What inspires you?
Love and connection.
What's your favourite time of the day?
Morning.
What was the best holiday you've had?
India.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Is there a cause you're passionate about?
Anything with the environment.
Geordie, it's been wonderful having you here today and sharing your story. And do you have a last bit of advice for our listeners?
Yeah, I think that my advice would be to always be open and inquisitive. Never set rules for yourself and be stuck in a way of thinking, because the more open we are and the more open we are to new ways of thinking, even if it seems ridiculous at first, the more opportunities we can have. And focus on the opportunities rather than the outcomes. That's
excellent advice. Geordie, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Flourish website, which is www.flourishkinesiology.com.au. And yeah, you can book in there, and my number's on there. And we have an Instagram page and a Facebook page.
Lovely. We'll include all of that in the show notes. So thank you once again, Geordie. It's been a pleasure to have you here and share your story.
Thank you, Jeannie. Such a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. Until next time.